Well, it is Wednesday. I thought yesterday was Wednesday, folks, or I was pretty confused. So, you know as well as I do, it's Max Igan tonight. Max is all the way from Queensland, Australia, and he has that incredible website, and it has some new changes to it. I think you ought to check that out. It's really, really neat. It's thecrowhouse.com. And remember, he's the filmmaker for those 3 incredible videos that I've been recommending for a couple of months. They are The Big Picture, and that's a remake, the final cut. It's now 90 minutes. And the other one is the New World Order, The Final Solution. And then the third one is Fight the New World Order with Global Non-Compliance, a very important film, very solution-based there. And, of course, last time I talked with Max, we were talking about his book, Earth's Forbidden Secrets. And, by the way, I think Max has on his front page there a link not only to those 3 fantastic films he made, but a link to our interviews between him and I. So that's pretty neat. And if you go down on his homepage, I don't want to over-talk this, but if you go to the homepage and all the way down to the bottom, there is a video of clones jumping to their death. I mean, it's really terrible, but you ought to check it out. That's all I can say about it. And there's also a donate button down there. If you guys would take the time to watch these fantastic films of Max's and then check out his incredible book, which I think, well, it's free here, but it ought to be selling for $40. And he just puts everything for free. And there's a donate button down there, and you know, I would be embarrassed to go and watch all this stuff and read this. It's life-changing stuff, and then walk away without donating something. So I hope you pay him the courtesy of doing that. But do go to his website. It's thecrowhouse.com. Max, I believe, is on the line all the way from Australia. How are you doing, Max?
I'm good, John. How are you, my friend?
I'm very good. And, you know, I'd like to go into some topics right away and get your thoughts on them. And we'll just let it go wherever it goes if you're fine with that. What is your take, Max, on free will?
Free will. Free will is everything, John. Free will is the meaning of the whole thing. I mean, if you want to get into a perspective, say, of the Creator, why this consciousness is here existing and experiencing what it's experiencing, it's all based on free will. Free will is what we can change the world with. Free will is the free will to base yourself in a center of fear or to base yourself in a center of love. Free will is what it takes for you to fight a war or not fight a war, to do the right thing, or to serve yourself. Free will is how the experience is learned, really. I think that would be my summary of free will.
Now, do you think that that was granted to us by a creator, or is that something that kind of percolates up from consciousness? How does free will come about, Max?
Well, I think it definitely comes from the Creator. There's definitely a consciousness. There's a living, rational consciousness, a mind like a matrix that is controlling this whole thing behind it all. Free will. Without free will, there can be no experience. Without free will, there can be nothing to learn. This whole thing is a learning of experience. It's gathering experience for the Creator. That's what life is. If you think of everybody as one consciousness, as a single consciousness, split into all these little sections, sort of wandering around, each having a little experience, the way they interact and everything and all the decisions they make and all the emotions they feel is all based on free will. Without free will, there can be no learning. That is what it's there for. And it definitely comes from a creator. Even Mark Planck, the father of quantum physics, said that there is a matrix and there is a living mind that is in control of all these things. Some people call it the living mind. Stephen Hawking calls it the mind of God. Some people just call it the field.
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
It is fantastic, on one hand, seeing how some very great minds are coming to the same conclusion, Max, that many mystics and philosophers, poets have come to centuries ago. But the scientists, the quantum physicists, they're coming to these same conclusions. I find that exciting, but a little odd too. Most people aren't aware how science is coming to discover these same ideas.
Well, that's what it is. Science has come full circle. Science is always, our science is good science, but it's always been based on the physical and mechanical. We want to explain things in a mechanical way. And that's our science. And it is good science, but it's limited in what it does because of its approach on a mechanical level. If you go and look at these other cultures, you find that they all start from that level. Sure, where everything's connected and we can affect this reality with our emotions. They start from there. And our science has been trying to figure all this out in a mechanical way, but it's got to a certain extent now where it's gone full circle and it's come back to mysticism, because that's the only way science is able to explain itself. And science is finding out there is physical and mechanical reasons for this mysticism. Like with this energy that I say people can produce, this love energy that you can produce. If you really want to look at it on a scientific level, Greg Braden explains it very well. I was talking to you about Greg Braden on the phone the other day. He explains it very well when he says that thought, we manifest this thought in our head, and that thought doesn't really mean anything unless it's imbued with emotion. And it's emotion given to the thought that creates the feeling. And this is what I was saying about this feeling that you can get, this wonderful giving feeling that you can give out to people, and it is literally an energy that you can feel, and you can replenish the energy field with this. And he's explaining that the thought happens in the top two chakras up in your head, what the Indians call chakras. Some modern scientists of our scientists just call them energy points, but they do acknowledge that they exist. The Indians and the mystics call them chakras. So the thoughts manifest in the top two energy centers. The emotion manifests in the bottom two energy centers, or the bottom three. There's three at the top and three at the bottom. And then they meet in the center. And the center is the heart. That's the heart chakra, the heart energy center. And that's what manifests the feeling. And that leaves your heart as an electrical field. Your heart is literally an electromagnetic generator, and it generates this energy. And it replenishes the field, it replenishes yourself. You can feel it when you do something compassionate, when you do something really good for someone. You can feel this stuff in your body. You get that great feeling. And if you think about it, it's a physical, tangible, electrical field that you've just generated. And it's been generated by your heart. That's what your heart does. And that's where the feeling comes from. That's where the emotion comes from. If you can realize that if you imbue a thought with emotion, it becomes this heart frequency that you give out, and that's how it works. That's how you generate this electrical field, this energy field that I keep talking about to give to other people. That's how you do it.
Yes, and my experiences since the mid-'90s doing the same thing. I kind of stumbled on it, just up there in the mountains of Montana, and I noticed that as I put my emotional energy with a determined choice, I felt an energy build up and project out, and I feel a tingling that is actually kind of goes from inside out, and it's an incredible feeling, a very unusual thing, but it's hard to describe except that it's related to the feeling of love. When you love somebody and this comes out, and it's a marvelous